guys, it's Stass here. Just a quick video following up from my review of the 7-gallon Unitank that I uploaded last night. It's up here, I think. So there's a couple of things that I didn't talk about in the review because they weren't really part of the review, such as how did the beer go, did I think I got any benefit over using the Unitank versus my stainless steel brew bucket, and all that sort of things. There was also a couple of misinformation that I realised that I, since recording and editing and uploading the video, that I got a little bit wrong. So let's start with what I got wrong, which is correct a few things. I made the comment about the sample port not being very good under pressure. That's still the case, but I did say that Ss Brewtech didn't seem to have a solution for that. In fact, they do. It's basically for the Unitank, and it's a coil about 3 mil inner diameter of stainless steel pipe, which connects onto the existing sample port to, as I said in my previous video, gives you a bit of resistance so the beer doesn't just come flying out and foam up your test tube sample. I'll put a link, I'll put a picture up on what the information is about that. I think the retail price is $149 Australian. I'll put a link up with the details. So yeah, I did get that wrong, so apologies for that, but hopefully this corrects that information. So let's talk about the beer, the Saison that I brewed. This is a brew that I wanted to brew on request from my father-in-law, actually, for Christmas. He'd just come back from a holiday to Belgium, and he'd been drinking a lot of Saisons. And so he said, how about you make a Saison? And I'd never made a Saison. It sounded good. I had 2 old, out-of-date packets of Belle Saison from Lellemans. So I made a starter, which you can see here, to try and make sure that they were viable. So both packets went in, made a starter as per normal, and I decided to go about making a recipe for a Saison. Now what I decided to do was mainly Pilsner malt with a little bit of rye in there, and I added some sugar just to try and dry out that beer. And I knew I'd get quite a lot of character from the yeast, so a bit of spiciness, bit of tart, sourness. So I wanted to try and complement that with a dry crisp beer, and also on a recommendation from Carl from the Floor Sweepers Union. When are you coming back, buddy? He said to add some coriander and orange zest, and that sounded like a damn good idea. So I went and I think it was 20 grams of coriander and 20 grams of orange peel or orange zest added in towards the end of the boil. Fermented out 22 to 24 degrees. As I said in the video, I didn't really have the setup to do a proper temperature fermentation. That's one of the reasons why I chose to do a Saison as well in the Unitank, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get down to those sort of ale temperatures or even a lager temperature. So I brewed a Saison knowing that I wanted to ferment at that 22 to 24 degrees, which is the ambient temperature of where the fermenter was under the house anyway. So the process of brewing the beer, I did a no-chill, brought the cube down, tipped it in to the sanitized Unitank. Again, talking about the Unitank, it's a big heavy unit. Normally what I do with the brew bucket, I put in maybe 4 or 5 litres of sanitizer, put in my airlock hose as like a plug, and shake the whole fermenter to make sure it's all coated, and then tip it out of the sampling port at the bottom just to make sure the inside of that is all sampled as well, sanitized as well. With this Unitank, it would be really a lot easier if you had a spray ball and a pump, so you could circulate the sanitizer around, because it's really hard to do, and I ended up having to fill the whole thing up with sanitizer, which uses quite a lot of sanitizer. It's not uncommon for people to do that, but the larger the vessel, you want to try and not use a heap of sanitizer. Yes, you can keep it for future brews and applications, but it's only got a shelf life of, I find, sort of 1 to 2 weeks, and you need to, once the pH starts to raise above, I think it's 3 point something, I can't remember exactly what it is, I put the info here. It's really not an effective sanitizer anymore. Yeah, anyway, cube went in and waited till that cooled down a little bit, put my starter in. It fermented not under pressure to start off with. I just had a really small, well, I had my ghetto milk carton as a blow-off valve, I guess. I didn't want to put the outlet of that blow-off valve too deep into the water, because I know that some saison yeasts are sensitive to back pressure, or they might be sensitive to back pressure, so I only had it sort of this far under the surface of the water, so there wasn't much back pressure. Once I got to the last 8 or so gravity points, I closed up that blow-off tube, and the pressure started to rise. It raised up all the way to, I think, 22 psi, which is, you know, getting up there in terms of pressure, but the unit itself is rated to 30 psi, so I was well within the limits of the unit. Then fermentation finished, and then I cooled it down, but as I said in the previous video, I didn't really want to be continually recirculating ice and cold water through the grain father to keep the beer at that cold temperature to let the yeast crash out. So yeah, there was still a lot of yeast in suspension, but the beer was carbonated, as you'll see in this video, but the flavour of it was very yeasty. So in it went into the keg. The good thing about it being under pressure, I used that pressure to transfer it into an already sanitized and CO2 filled keg. Transferred that, it sat in the keg fridge for a couple of days, and the first probably litre or so was still pretty yeasty, but then it started to clear out. I don't know if I actually did a review of the beer. I think it kind of, with Christmas and the moving and everything, it sort of it became drunk or finished, and so. But it was very nice saison. In fact, you know, it's now going to be the house saison recipe for now. I might experiment with a different yeast just to see what that brings to the table. But I was really happy with how easy the brew went, how smooth it went, and how drinkable it was. It came out, I think, it was close to 6% ABV. Yeah, but my experience with the Unitank was good. Do I think it made the beer better? I really don't think it does. The process of being able to control the fermentation under pressure and rack out under pressure, and if I wanted to dump the yeast off, carbonate using the carbonation stone, I didn't get a chance to do that. But you know, I don't think it really improved the quality of the finished beer. It may have meant that I had a little bit less oxygen introduced into the beer because of the closed transfer, but I normally do a pretty low oxygen transfer anyway, especially in like a saison. You're probably not going to notice oxidation as much as an IPA or a lager or something like that. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you're trying to go for, that, you know, Unitank, I think it would be good. I think the next size up, the 14 gallon, for only a few $100s more, is probably better value, because you're making twice the amount of beer. If you're only brewing in a grain father, you could double batch, or you can over brew and liquor back to get that full 14 gallons or close to 50 litres of beer. And that would sort of make it so it's not so cramped when you're using it. Also on that cramped, I sort of showed a picture of it but didn't explain. With the racking port, you've got a pickup tube which you can rotate the arm of the butterfly valve around to follow the beer line down. When you get to about, I don't know, 45 degrees I started to get really close to the leg and it wouldn't let me go the whole way down, so I wouldn't have been able to follow the beer all the way to the bottom. Again, that's because it's a smaller unit. I think the 14 gallon would probably get over that a little easier. But yeah, I think that's about all the things that I wanted to talk about. If I've missed anything or you have any further comments, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. So yeah, all round good bit of kit, but as a total cost of this with all the things that I would want to have with it, it's hard to justify that amount of money when there's you know, the brew bucket, stainless steel, it'll last a long time. The only thing I can't do is ferment under pressure or carbonate the beer in there. I keg, so it's not a huge deal for me. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this addendum to the previous video. So until the next video, this has been Stass from Stass Brewing, signing out. Cheers.